Welcome back to Rare Elvis Photos. I'm going to continue to showcase your comments. There's a lot of just shock and disbelief going on right now with what's going on. There's a lot of Priscilla fans that are no longer Priscilla fans. Hey, Diana, love these gorgeous pictures of Elvis. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, you bet. I saw them down in Florida. I thought, gosh, Rare Elvis Photos would love these. Elvis and Kathy firing shots, kisses, pajamas, and what Elvis really thought. About his fans, appreciate your time and reading to us, says a face in the crowd. It's a nice reprieve from the world and worries. Feel like you're a believer of the faith as well. I am. And I appreciate you coming on here as well. I think that we all have to try to defend the innocent as much as possible. And also, be grateful for what we have in this life because we are very blessed. What Priscilla allowed to happen by stepfather to Lisa behind closed doors. I can't quite pronounce your name, but we see you there, 2720. It would be so wrong for Priscilla to be buried at Graceland even before this, but especially now that this information is out. She was a horrible mother. She did not care for Lisa at all. She was just concerned about her own career and money, fame, and nothing in life has ever changed in regards to that. There's no way that she should be buried at Graceland at all. I believe it as well. I don't think Elvis fans in general, I bet you 75 to 90% don't want her buried there. It kind of will ruin the experience of going around. At Freddie Frog 1780, it would be impossible to prosecute because Lisa Marie is no longer with us. In this book that was published, he said he was sexually attracted to Lisa Marie. That would have been the opportunity for Lisa to let the world know what he did, but maybe she was confident to be able to come forward. The funny thing is that Priscilla didn't even mention Mike Edwards in her book, and that was 85. And Mike Edwards mentioned this attraction, but he didn't mention how far it went. Very interesting how those two books coincided. Did Priscilla not want to mention Mike Edwards for that specific reason? The what happened to Lisa? I would not put it past her. Sorry, I'm road weary from vacation. It was a 13-hour trip back last night, and it's normally just a 6-hour drive. It was stop and start. Anyhow, Laura, he confessed somewhat. Then the victim's gone, so he should be prosecuted, but just not sure what time he would be given since Lisa's gone. Yeah, I think that they can't prosecute him. And it would be Riley that would probably have to prosecute as the next of kin. That's one of the reasons why her mother's gone too soon. But because of some of the comments I see later on in this video itself, so stick around. There's some information about Riley that's a little shocking to me if it is true, and I don't doubt it since a user did kind of quote her. At Sharon Dat Carell says, I don't mind the ads because they're only 5 seconds long and your content's so good. I'm still trying to process all of this. Lisa Marie didn't have a chance, bless her heart. This is absolutely heartbreaking and explains so much about her. It shows that Prissy was an absolute monster. Clearly, her modeling and acting, she could not act, of course, career came first. I hate to say this, but here it goes. It's probably a good thing this happened after Elvis died because there's no doubt in my mind that Elvis would have unalived Edwards had he been alive and found out. Just my opinion. Yeah, there'd have been, something would have happened. Of course, it never would have happened if Elvis was around, which is very sad. That's a different subject. But still, it shouldn't have happened. If it did happen, it shouldn't have happened more than once. Priscilla should have gotten rid of the relationship. On the Elvis and Kathy book, A Tearful Confession and Two Broken Hearts, Janice says, thanks for reading Kathy's book. I can't afford to buy it. I'm glad to read it to you. I'm going to read another chapter either tonight or in the morning. I didn't have a chance to read any more today because my wife and I had a performance at a winery. And then tomorrow we get another performance at a winery. So we went on vacation and then we're coming back exhausted, but we're singing. And that's an all-day thing for us. Set up, tear down, performing for a couple hours, and then travel back. All right. So what Priscilla allowed to happen to by stepfather to Lisa. That's the next comment there. So let's talk a little bit about the book real quick. I haven't still read it all, and I'm going to be reading it to y'all, the actual hard copy as well as the digital copy. I just wanted to kind of dive in and take a look at that section because there's got to be some other stuff in there that's going to shock us. That's going to surprise us. Maybe not totally. I mean, I've been talking about how I believe that she was abused by Michael Edwards just because of his hinting in the book and then her hinting. I think it was an interview, I believe, that she gave Might have been for a magazine. It might have just been a regular live interview, but she hinted at it. And why she never brought it out while she was living, I don't know. I mean, maybe she blamed herself. Maybe it went further than we know, further than what the book says. And maybe eventually, when she got a teeny bit older, not that it matters, but when she was 14, 15, and 16, perhaps, since she was, in a sense, trained and made to appear like, okay, it must be fine because mom's not stopping it, maybe that's why she didn't. So I don't know, and we're never going to know what Priscilla allowed to happen. So Joan Morrison says, I think Priscilla should be buried in Graceland as long as Elvis fans can write Priscilla's epitaph. That's hilarious. When I read that when I was doing the screen record, I was like, and then you had that next line. I was like, okay, you got me, Joan. You got me. Hey, Ruby. Oh, thanks. So you gave me a little super thanks. I guess there's a little thing below the video. You can donate a certain amount to the channel. I appreciate that. As y'all know, I got kids and all this other stuff, and I work a regular job like y'all do as well, I'm sure. So I appreciate you doing that. It'll go to making more videos, being able to devote more time. What's up, Claire? And I'm pretty sure your first name is Claire and your last name is Klevick, or maybe a nickname. You'll have to let me know. It is so right that Priscilla always described Elvis as being depressed, unhappy, and weak. And she even suggested that he took his own life without any proof. The truth is that Elvis was generally a very happy person. Yes, he was. And it's clear that he wanted to share this happiness with others, and he remained humble and strong to the end, even when he had to face important health issues and disappointments. It's so right. He kept going on the road to take care of his family, his musical family, his real family, and his fans, which are his family as well. At Tamgia, it is also in Mike Edwards' book that he wrote, so Priscilla can't lie about it. But he's already saying it's not true, but yet he wrote about himself. Priscilla will find a way out of this. She always does. It's sad that people are always saying Lisa's a liar. To me, they are not Elvis fans at all. He also wrote about Priscilla physically assaulting, Lisa. And there were witnesses to that as well. J.R. Pacer says, okay, I need to get this book. If anything, justice for Lisa. That's a great comment, J.R. Appreciate that. First time I think I've seen you on the channel, so welcome. Anita Edition. That's a pretty cool username. Anita Edition 5048. A petition needs to be started against vile narcissistic Prissy from being buried at Graceland. Elvis, Ben, and Lisa can never be at rest if she gets her spoiled way. Perhaps we as Elvis fans can prevent it by voicing our opinion. My heart bleeds for Lisa. I don't understand how some females facilitate abuse of their children. Absolutely disgusting. I agree with you there. The thing is, as parents, we have to protect our children. We're not going to be perfect, but we have to love them, protect them from anything that's extreme. Bad things are going to happen to kids and, teenagers. It's going to happen in schools. It's going to happen amongst their peers. But it should never happen to them from us or from who we're with. And Priscilla was clearly a very weak person. Like a very weak, or she could have enjoyed it. These are the things that happen out there that nobody wants to speak about. She could have enjoyed it and allowed it to happen. Who the heck knows? I don't know. You guys don't know, and we're not going to find out. But there's two different ways to look at it. Either she enjoyed it, or felt like Lisa deserved it, or she was fine with it, or possibly she was just a weak woman with no stomach, no gumption, no strength, and no care for Lisa. Hey, Brenda. Great comment. You should have to answer to our justice system for the horrible things that went on. You can tell by the details that Lisa is telling the truth. Lisa was known to be truthful. I'm so angry at Priscilla and Mike Edwards. And that's really where the blame and the anger needs to go, is at those two. I don't understand, the victim blaming. And I guess later on here, there's somebody that said that Riley blamed her mom. And I don't get, maybe not for the actual some of the other stuff, but maybe the spankings or the physical part of that. I don't know. But Joyce says, no benefit of the doubt here. Believe the 10-year-old. Yeah, that's true. It's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then when she was just making memoir, she was doing voice dictations. It's not like she, came out because somebody left her and she's going to accuse them of something. This is her memoir. What Priscilla allowed to happen by stepfather to Lisa behind closed doors. Rosie Bottom says it was easy for Priscilla to minimize Edward's abuse of Lisa. Both Priscilla and him were doing doing that. Yep. His book showing him, that's another word that YouTube does not want me to say, and I'm gonna have to block it out. His book showing him admitting to perving over Lisa, pulling up the sheets to look at her. I knew he did more than that. Poor Lisa. Yeah, Rosie, it's just disgusting, horrific. Not only that it was not a one-time thing, but like it happened over a period of years. And who knows how many times it happened. Maybe Riley knows. I don't know. Maybe it was put in there how many times it happened. But yet she was not going to put that in the book. It was enough, which is brave. I don't understand why perhaps Riley, according to somebody that's going to leave a comment here shortly, why perhaps Riley blamed Lisa for being a little bit too much to deal with, too much to handle. She admittedly was a difficult child. But why was she difficult? Geez, basic psychology, because she was abused. That's why you're difficult. Not defended, not loved, not protected. Come on, people. And I'm saying people as in I'm saying Riley even. How Mike Stone's testimony convicts Priscilla Presley's character. Elvis gave Priscilla as the ex-wife a house, mansion, everything she wanted or needed. And she, according to news, wants money from Riley? I still think it's made-up story in the media. Lisa also said that I think it's something like everything is false in the media. No. She sued Riley for money. She took money from Riley and the grandchildren because she felt it was owed to her. And there's a section in the book where she told Lisa to get up from the seat. That's her seat. She built the business, and Lisa was nobody, basically. So, yes, she felt pissed off, ticked off, that Lisa cut her out of the will. But Lisa cut her out of the will because she was no mother to be getting anything. She took from Lisa, stole from Lisa, and she let Lisa be abused, according to Lisa's memoirs. New unreleased Elvis song, that's something I wrote and put it on the channel here. Elvis will always be loved for who he was. His fans will rejoice his life forever. Thank you for the song to celebrate our Elvis. He's watching his fans who love him forever. We love him to this day. Yes, we do love him to this day. And that was one of the lyrics that I wrote that really comes from you guys. Comes from you ladies and gentlemen, your fans that cherish Elvis, that come on YouTube and comment and defend Elvis's character. No, he wasn't a perfect person, but we're not perfect people. If you can't forgive people for the things that are a deficit in yourself, then you're a hypocrite. Now, there are some things that are that we can talk about that maybe we won't do, and like the whole thing with Priscilla, letting Lisa be, I don't know the word I can say, but we know what we're talking about here. You say Priscilla has to respect women, but I say people should have respect for marriage. That's true. Respect or no respect, just accept. And people need to love marriage and just be happy. If others are happily married, and if they are not happy, then pray the marriages will work. Prayers and family is the glue to stay together. We do our best, and God does the rest. Yeah, marriage is no picnic sometimes, but if you choose the right person, and, which doesn't always happen. My wife and I have been married 18 years, and we've barely spent a day apart. We sing together. We've worked together. Yes, we've had some arguments, but maybe in the last 7 years, 6-7 years, I can't remember, but maybe 1 or 2 arguments. And so sometimes you find the right person, but if you get with the wrong person, like obviously Elvis got with Priscilla, or the wrong person, which obviously Mike Edwards and Priscilla were wrong together because, Mike Edwards obviously was infatuated with Priscilla and Lisa because he was obsessed with Elvis. That's a bad match. At Doris Williams, no, Priscilla at Graceland. I think everybody on here agrees with you. That's a great comment. I appreciate you there. All right, so on the video, we have caught Priscilla again. Priscilla Presley interview, a must watch. How do you know he was faithful to her? Everybody in the Memphis Mafia and around say that Elvis was faithful once they were married, until he found out that she was having the affair with the dance instructor. And then you could see on the 68 Comeback Special, he had no problem flirting and being unfaithful, really, to Priscilla because the marriage was broken already. And in fact, they say that Priscilla brought the dance instructor to the 68 Comeback Special, and there's pictures of her and him up there watching. Child Bride, Priscilla decides to trade her dignity in a Faustian bargain. Now, this is the book I'm reading, Child Bride. So make sure you go take a look at the playlist, click on Rare Elvis Photos. You'll see the books Elvis and Kathy, Child Bride, My Army Days with Elvis. Great book by Mr. Lang. So GGLD888. Why is there not one comment in this entire list from anyone asking, A, is Curry still alive? B, call the police. C, grooming is illegal. And Curry and Elvis and a lot are normalizing it. Instead, Curry just says, oh, I was an addict. My bad, huh? Vile. The fact that he would confirm that openly just to be right about a timeline and events is staggeringly telling about him and the people leaving comments in his section. So, now, to defend the people leaving comments in his section, I would agree with you, except Priscilla will not admit to it. So, he can't be prosecuted. I think everybody has left comments about Curry being sick and a perv, and just not right. Says abuse people 90% of the time. This explains Lisa Marie's. Priscilla was, yes, jail for everyone. Oh, that's right. It's normalized in society by the apathetic response of people. Well, it sounds like you're upset about this, and I applaud that. And that's true, but I got abused in my life many, many, many ways, and I've not done it to my kids. You know, and I've got 4 boys. Not one of them got spanked. Not one of them, had anything else happen that might have happened to me. Because abused people will abuse people if they got no character, if they enjoy it, if they have no self-worth. And maybe Priscilla had no self-worth. I wouldn't doubt it because, she wasn't allowed to live her life. Her parents forced her on Elvis for their own sakes. If you read that book, Child Bride. So, I can agree with you right there. Abused people can abuse other people. But it doesn't have to be the general rule. But, once again, we can't blame somebody else. We can't blame Elvis for what happened. I mean, I understand. I get where you're coming from. He was 24, she was 14. But back then, once again, it's a much different time. We know now possibly that it's probably not right. The mind is not developed enough. And society now tells, young women that they need to have a career and all the other stuff that's out there and go to college and then get married around 30 or 35. Well, heck, there's a lot of people don't make it to 30 to 35. But back then, you got married, and that was supposed to be what your life was about. And whether you agree with that or not, that is the time. Doris Williams, I read books where Priscilla wanted to leave town, and there was no one to watch Lisa. She took off and left her with the housekeeper. Yeah, I read that too. Same thing, dropped her off at Scientology. Jean says Priscilla has always been vile. She certainly has been all about making as much money off of Elvis all the time. If you're holding somebody up, lifting somebody up, and sharing stories that are all positive all the time and talking, but she just tends to talk about the same drivel over and over again that now we know is probably not true. And that makes people upset. Some very shocking info uncovered about Priscilla. Snezana says, you ask why cities say this. Hold on. Maybe Curry said it because he believed he got protected when the book was made. So yeah, why would Curry admit to it? And because once again, you're opening yourself up to be prosecuted and to be, he basically, he said that she did it voluntarily, but regardless, yeah, I don't know. That's a sensitive subject, but yeah, I get why you brought up about Curry. What Priscilla allowed to happen by stepfather to Lisa, they both should be prosecuted, and the Black Widow deserves everything she gets from here on. The only saving grace is that she got to face the wrath of Elvis when she leaves the world. That's if she winds up anywhere but, the HE double hockey sticks. Great comment there. I hope she sees, I don't know, the thing is, I believe everybody should have an opportunity to change. Now, she's 80, I think, or 90. I don't know how she is. She looks 90 or 95 to me, but I think she's around 80. But regardless, she's still doing the same things. I don't think she's going to change. And I don't think she feels like she has to change. Peggy says, Memphis is the best. Yep, that's a great city. There's a lot of great about Memphis, especially since Elvis was there. But going back to Priscilla, people aren't mad at her because she's making money off of Elvis. They're mad at her because she's she's not protecting Elvis's legacy, that she allowed Priscilla to be made and made money off of a vile, horrible movie that showed Elvis in the worst light, that she advised the Elvis 2022 movie and made him look to be a negative, sad, depressed person the full time, and skipped everybody else in his life that wasn't Priscilla. That's why people are mad. So was she recently kicked off of Graceland premises? It looks like Priscilla doesn't take Lisa in any way seriously. Further, she got a career because of the last name she used. So she was acting in movies, modeling, sold clothing with that money she earned. That is the money she can give her son. And then again, it's because of the name Presley, but it's the least comparing it with what she wants, the money that comes from Graceland merchandise. So basically, you're saying that she's got enough money that she doesn't need to be suing Riley like she did and being put on the payroll still when Lisa didn't want it. So I think Riley's just chosen maybe to have a relationship with her grandma, and and I don't know if it's, I'm not in her shoes, but certainly Lisa didn't want it, and you would think that Lisa's will should be fulfilled. Elvis and Kathy, Premonitions Near Death, and John Lennon, the book, the section I was reading. Love your reading, and of course the subject, Cheryl Wintle 7497. Thank you, Cheryl, appreciate that. And I'll be reading more. It's a great book. I'm enjoying it as well, reading along with you. The Love Triangle, Elvis, Deborah, Priscilla, Pretender, Presley. Cherie Vivian says Deborah Paget is 91. Also, yes, Deborah and Priscilla and Ginger have a similar look. All beautiful women with the same certain look. Some of these people don't really want to be interviewed about Elvis. I'd love to sit down with Deborah. I'd love to sit down with a lot of people, and Margaret, of course, but I'm sure she's hounded to death to talk about Elvis. Of course, the sweet girl that chose to be a nun. And sometimes I remember her name, and sometimes it's Dolores Hart. Just sweet and beautiful. I wish Elvis ended up with her. And I think Elvis was sweet on her, but Elvis wasn't going to be able to be with anybody in his young life. He just had too much going on. He never would have became the Elvis career-wise that we would have known if he was married and actually had a real marriage. A real marriage takes a lot of time. Having kids takes a lot of time unless you're going to completely ignore them. So, it's a sad thing, because I think Elvis would have been a great husband, a great father, without the music career, just to stand alone. Before, if he wouldn't have been famous, he would have been a phenomenal father and husband. As it was, I think he tried to uphold his part of the bargain. It didn't work. And then after that, he just gave up. And then as for being a father, Linda said he was an amazing father. He loved Lisa. And Lisa herself says that she felt extremely loved and valued. And that's very important, that we take her words over what, Priscilla might have said, or what people think. So Vegas Vixen, you said Mike pretty much admitted to all of this in his book. All right, hey, so thank you, Vegas Vixen. I'm going to actually end right here. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. TCB TLC. Keep leaving comments, and maybe I get to feature your comment and read along with it. I'm going to go ahead and let some comments run here and play one of the tribute songs that I've created for you guys to listen to. So there is going to be a record out under the Sins Country, which is my wife and I's duo. It's going to be called Songs of Elvis. I just haven't gotten around to put it out yet. Minus the Spain. Okay, so, all right, TCB. Enjoy the comments. Until next time.
He was born in a shack in Tupelo, a healthy boy, but he lost his baby bro. He grew up poor, the dirt poor life. The only thing he had was a guitar and a bike. That was Elvis, born in 35, that was Elvis. The coolest cat alive, from don't be cruel to all shook up, suspicious minds to burning love. That was Elvis. He died in the summer of 77. Priscilla broke his heart and sent him back to heaven. He sang his songs for all to hear. American trilogy still brings a tear. That was Elvis, born at 35, that was Elvis. The coolest kind of life, and don't be cruel to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis. He left us a gift in Lisa Marie, but now she's singing with Elvis in heaven's jubilee. That was Elvis, born at 35, that was Elvis. The coolest kind of life, and don't be cruel to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis, from that's alright to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. That was Elvis, Elvis. That was Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. I'm in a blue suede dream tonight, and feel the rhythm come alive. My heart beats to every Elvis song. On my turntable I turn on. Hound dog echoes in my veins, jailhouse rocking through the years. We're all the part of him that red remains as we wipe away our tears. We say thank you to the mailman, say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Feel the tremor in the night, guitar strings start to hum, and the stars up there so big and bright as Elvis starts to strum. We say thank you to the mailman, say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. First a blue moon in the sky, can't help falling but don't wonder why. Elvis' spirit never dies in our soul. For all our lives we say thank you to the mailman, say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Feel the tremor in the night, guitar strings start to hum, and the stars up there so big and bright as Elvis starts to strum. Feel the tremor in the night, guitar strings start to hum, and the stars up there so big and bright as Elvis starts to strum. We say thank you to the mailman, say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Ghost of blue moon in the sky, can't help falling but don't wonder why. The Elvis spirit never dies in our soul. For all our lives. The shadow of the king still haunts the Memphis night in the dimming southern light. Graceland comes alive. He walks those southern halls, his footsteps fall and fall, until those gates up front swing wide and bring his fans inside. Elvis looks out, smiles down at the crowd, from his window way up high at Graceland, watching time go by, watching over us all, day after day, night after night. Memories like a song keeps the king walking on. He is still amazed. We love him to this day. Elvis looks out, smiles down at the crowd, from his window way up high at Graceland, watching time go by, watching over us all, day after day, night after night. Never is like a song, keeps the king walking on. He is still amazed. We love him to this day. Elvis looks out, smiles down at the crowd, from his window way up high at Graceland, watching time go by, watching over us all, day after day, night after night, day after day, night after night. She held him close to her heart from the very start. Through every joy and fear, she kept him near and dear, with a love that's pure and true. In everything she'd do, a mother's guiding light shone through the Elvis night. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Holding her hand, he found peace, and all her worries would not cease. There shares a bond that never fades, it loves me tender shades. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Holding her hand, he found peace, and all her worries would not cease. They shares a bond that never fades, it loves me tender shades. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. With every note he'd sing, he danced on her heartstrings. A melody so sweet made their bond complete. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Yeah, there's no greater love than a mother's love. There's one king above all, a light that never fades, a name that we call in every prayer we say. Through every storm we face, he stands tall and true, lifts us up with his grace, shows what love can do. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every eye closed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. He gave his life for us so that we all may live. Only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. There's one king above all, a light that never fades, a name that we call in every prayer we say. Through every storm we face, he stands tall and true, lifts us up with his grace that shows what love can do. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. There's one king above all, a light that never fades, a name that we call in every prayer we say. Through every storm we face, he stands tall and true, lifts us up with his grace that shows what love can do. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. We don't let no one talk about the king. We defend his memory, let Elvis' freedom ring. No ex-wife of his gonna ruin the love we feel for the boy from Tupelo, then straight to Bill. He changed the world with one move of his his hips. He changed the world with one sneer from his lips. There would be no Beatles or Rolling Stones, Tupac Shakur, pop or rock and roll without him. The world is not as bright without him. He loved us all as he sung from stage. We hung on every word, every turn of the leg. And on that screen, we watched him change our lives. Every word he spoke left us all in awe and mesmerized. He changed the world with one move of his hips. He changed the world with one sneer from his lips. There would be no Beatles or Rolling Stones, Tupac Shakur, pop or rock and roll without him. The brightness of the world would be so dim without him. Without him, the world is not as bright without him. King in his blue suede shoes stepped through the White House doors. The country was going down the tubes, Elvis couldn't be ignored. Nixon at his desk all stern, wondering what the king might say. He didn't like the Memphis Flash until meeting him that day. The king and the president, rock and roll and politics. Let's make a change, let's take a stand. Nixon then shook his head. Nobody saw those two mixing, Elvis and Nixon. Elvis said with a serious look, I'm here to help with the youth. Let the real revolution begin. The badge was all it took. The king and the president, rock and roll and politics. Let's make a change, let's take a stand. Nixon then shook his head. Nobody saw those two mixing, Elvis and Nixon. He handed Nixon a 45. He brought him as a gift. The president knew this was a day he never would forget. The king and the president, rock and roll and politics. Let's make a change, let's take a stand. Nixon then shook his head. Nobody saw those two mixing, Elvis and Nixon.
If you stuck around all 45 minutes, let me know. I want to hear in the comments, okay? TCB TLC till next time. This is Rare Elvis Photos.